Welcome to another episode of Empower Apps. I'm your host, Leo Dion. Today, I'm joined once again by Josh Holtz. Josh, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me again.
I know I will see you in person in a few weeks, and we'll be talking about that. But we'll get started talking.
29 days,
I'll let you go ahead and introduce yourself.
All right, I'm Josh Holtz. I've been the lead maintainer of Fastlane since 2018, core contributor since 2015. Revenue Cat is my full-time day job right now. I work on mostly things related to the Apple App Store, Google Play. It might be SDKs, it might be APIs, front end, whatever our team needs. And then I'm also hosting a Swift and iOS conference called Deep Dish Swift in 29 days. I also work on Indie Dev Monday, which is a newsletter for indie devs. And then I also have some indie apps as well. Not everything always takes equal priority all the time, but I kind of switch off here and there because that does sound like a lot.
Yeah, it does. It does a bit. Yeah. So I want to talk a bit. We got a lot of stuff to talk about today, but I want to start off by talking about Fastlane, and we kind of talked about this a few months ago, but there's been some stuff on Twitter about it. But just like, how does the maintaining work, and like, how is it funded and that kind of stuff? Because there's some questions about whether there's other ways that can be maintained and flexible. Because I know, well, I'll just start off saying Fastlane's awesome. I love it. So it's like pretty much the only way to do CI with getting an app in the App Store. So yeah, what's like the future of Fastlane when it comes to maintenance and funding and all that stuff?
Yeah. So I'll give a little bit background history first on kind of like Fastlane's ownership and that kind of stuff. So I guess going back to like 2015, Felix started Fastlane back in it was actually probably like 2014, but it was open source, just his. It got big, popular. It got acquired by Twitter, and then under the Fabric arm of Twitter. And then Google bought Fabric for like Firebase stuff, and Fastlane came with it. So Google took control in 2017, I believe, and had a whole team around it. Did a like huge, amazing version of it, version 2, which kind of combined all the different tools into one major tool. So that was super awesome. At that time, Fastlane and Google was also working on a CI product, which is actually somewhat open source still. It's archived on the Fastlane GitHub org. But at that time, most of the team was working on the CI, so I was brought in as a part-time contractor to do like the maintenance of the actual like tool itself. So I did part-time maintaining through Google from 2018 to 2020. My contracting gig ended after 2 years because Google policy stuff. So I actually ended up becoming a Google vendor for a year and a half and worked on Fastlane full-time. But then I changed to work at Revenue Cat about a year ago or so. Just because it was getting kind of hard to deal with getting that vendor relationship. It was becoming quite difficult to deal with, and I wanted something a little more stable. So I'm still lead maintainer, but I'm not working on it full time and getting funded by Google anymore. But I was the only one getting funded directly since I was working on it full time. We do have a pretty awesome core team, but all of their time is donated. Has been by themselves for like the past 5 years or so. but also my time in the past year and a half has also been just out of my free time as well. There isn't really hasn't been in the past a good like funding setup for it, just because Google did have their own team to support it, and then it was going through contracting to me, but there really hasn't been like any sort of like public donation towards it, just because Google does own it. So the current status right now is there are a bunch of maintainers. I'm still maintaining it, but there's just no one full time getting paid to support it.
So there's I know there's been talk about like some full like mobile open source foundation and things like that. Like what's kind of the story with that then as a possible way to fund it?
Yeah. So I've been trying a few ways. One way would have been to open like an open collective for it, which is kind of like GitHub sponsors, but a little bit easier to split among bigger teams.
Okay.
And I think Google does support donating to that. So that was one of my options if Google wanted to donate to that, and then we could split that among our core team. But then Google not theoretically, Google still owns all of the IP and GitHub repositories and stuff. But another option which is what Google's working on right now, which is super amazing, is donating Fastlane to the Mobile Native Foundation. This is a open source foundation, specifically set up for mobile stuff, hence the name. I think it was created by Keith Smiley, who works at Lyft. It's been around for quite a few years. There's a handful of projects in it. A bunch of different people are involved with it. I think there's like 50 different organizations. And I've been trying to get Fastlane in it for a while. It's really hard because like there's no like huge proponent inside of Google right now to kind of push that along. So this is something that like I've been wanting to do for probably about a year and a half, 2 years. But thankfully, Peter Steinberger, about a month or two ago, made some Twitter noise about it, like our general like maintenance speed right now and stuff, which is totally true. Like things have slowed down. It's just because nobody is working on it full time.
Right.
So he made some noise, which I wasn't ready for, but I absolutely loved it. Because it's kind of what we needed to get it going. So after he made some noise, he opened a discussion on the Mobile Native Foundation GitHub org. We actually got someone from Google or two on there that actually said like, hey, like there's actually movement inside. It's going along. It's getting in the like approval phases. And there's just a lot of legal and PR involved with it, even though like ideally it should just be like here's the code, here's the domain, like that's pretty much all involved, but like there's just a lot of like enterprise stuff that is involved, so it is going to be a slow moving process, but I don't think it's moving as slow as what I actually expected. Like we actually heard movement within like 5 days.
Nice.
Which the Twitter noise happened on a Saturday. We heard about stuff, there was a holiday on Monday. I think we actually heard movement on like Tuesday or Wednesday. So like considering like Google size, like that seemed like incredible speed to me.
What?
So that's kind of the state right now. We're in just a waiting phase of getting it all approved, and then hoping that it actually does get approved, and then transferring stuff over.
What would you, in the best scenario, what would you like to see done with Fastlane, assuming everything moves smoothly?
Yeah, so everything would get donated to Mobile Native Foundation, which actually is a sub-foundation of the Linux Foundation. Okay. So it has like that foundation's whole support, donation system, all of that kind of stuff. So ideally we would have a bunch of different companies who use it, support it, donate to it. We get this nice little fund. It actually doesn't need to be a lot, but that would give our whole core team time to actually like put aside and do stuff. So like we could probably pay somebody part-time, 3/4 time for the entire year to help maintenance issues, triage, keep things going. If some big change happened, we could probably ramp up to like 1.5 people for a bit to like try and like crunch new App Store Connect API changes or Google changes of some sort. So it would just give us a little bit more stability or I guess not really stability, but like a constant amount of time actually being put on it, and like our core team actually being rewarded is not the right word.
Paid for their time.
Rewarded for their time. Because right now, which it should be, because it's a tool that's pretty much industry standard for
CI
mobile stuff. And like and like I would still do stuff, but I don't want it to be just me. I don't scale well. Like I still want to be lead. I don't necessarily need to be doing all the work all the time. Money does not need to go to me. I want to go to my team that actually can scale and just kind of help improve all the parts of it.
That's awesome. So, was there anything else you wanted to mention about Fastlane?
I think that's probably the biggest news right now. We definitely aren't releasing like as quickly as we need to right now. But luckily, like most things have been like stable until tomorrow, because I just said this. Things are gonna.
Well, I was just gonna say June.
But like since we are mostly using. Yeah, right. But since we are mainly using the App Store Connect API now for almost all of our things, like the Apple side of things don't break as often unless you're using Apple ID, and then there was an issue about a month ago where you got locked out of your account, but that was a whole thing. But like we definitely have a huge backlog of things we want to improve on. There's a lot of issues and PRs that are still coming in that we need to triage. And once we can actually dedicate more of our team's time, we can go through those a lot. And if anybody who's listening to this does want to help things move along, the money from like our users is not really the issue. But if people do want to help contribute, like pull requests are huge. Look at issues that you might be able to solve. Like we definitely appreciate every contribution that comes through, even if you're not like a Ruby expert or anything like that. Create the PR. We will still help like fix it, add commits to it, and make sure it gets merged in. But just having somebody who can help with that PR and kind of like test it themselves, because there's so many different use cases and things to set up.
That
like just reviewing a PR isn't really just code. We pretty much have to test every single PR. Even though we do have unit tests, a lot of things are more like integration level, where we do have to make sure like that service does work correctly and all these different build configurations, get this project set up the right way. So having people commit PRs who can also test those makes things move a lot quicker.
Awesome.
So that's a good way to contribute if you don't if you're a developer.
I never thought about testing, but yeah, that makes total sense. If you want to test out a PR, that would be a great way to help.
Yeah, there have been some that are like 10 lines of code, but in order to test it, you have to like get a Catalyst app built for Mac and then have that get submitted to the App Store and wait for the beta to get approved, and then you can do a thing. Like that might be an extreme example, but there are times where like I had to test something after it got approved for a test flight release, which requires it to do its processing and stuff. So some tests may take up to like 30 minutes. And then when you have other life stuff going on, you're like, I'm just going to start this. And then it's like 2 days later. So like some of those testings, it gets hard.
Yeah. There's those of us who don't just do iOS apps, who have Mac and watch apps. So I totally get it. So one thing I wanted to talk about is a little app you've been working on that involves kid stuff, Playpen. I've been interested in that, not only as a parent and a developer, but just like how guided access works and things like that. You want to talk a little bit about the app and how that adventure has gone?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so the app is currently in a little hiatus while I'm doing deep dish stuff, because that takes priority. But I've been wanting to create like a kids app for some time, just because I have 2 kids now. One is my son's a little over 2, my daughter is 6 months. And like I don't want to give them like screen time all the time because that's apparently bad or something like that. But like they are going to take control of your phone. You're going to be in a car somewhere and like you just need time to like settle them down, or you're in airport or restaurant and you just like kind of need to distract them a little bit. So I was like, I want to create a kids app to just kind of like see that experience, because all of my apps have been developer focused and like it's cool, but like I want something a little bit more broad. But I also wanted to create a Apple Watch app as well. Like I've never done that before, so I was waiting for the right time to create one. And then I was at Dub last year, and like it hit me like, oh, I can combine a kids app and an Apple Watch app, and like solve two birds with one stone. So the problem that came from this was we were driving a lot to my mother-in-law's house last summer, and my son couldn't really keep himself too occupied for the whole time. So we'd hand him our phone, he'd watch Sesame Street or something on YouTube. But as soon as it ended, he was like freaking out, as I would too. And the phone did have guided access mode on, so like he couldn't like hit next or back or anything like that. He could just hold the phone and be fine. But it was usually stuck where he was, and it was just this repetitive process of reaching back, grabbing the phone from him, unlocking it, going to the next one, or unpausing or something like that, and handing it back. And I'm like, it'd be cool if we could just like remotely control what he's seeing on this locked phone.
Okay.
And then like I was driving like one hand on the wheel, and I'm like, I have a watch on my wrist. Like I can give him the phone, just like toss the phone backwards behind me, and then I can control everything from here.
Mm-hmm.
So what Playpen is, it's essentially this app that has like little mini apps in it, which is YouTube is the big one that I use. You can choose photos on your phone to watch, or I have like this little soundboard that he can tap. But it's these small activities that you can give to your kid, lock the phone, and you can actually remotely control what is actually on the phone from your Apple Watch. So if he's in the mood for Sesame Street, I can just tap my watch, that'll start playing. If he wants to do the soundboard, tap my watch, that'll start playing for him. If he wants to watch a different YouTube, like Dino Train or Blippi or something like that, I can do that all from my watch. And like he's happy because he is watching or playing with whatever he wants to do. I'm happy because he's happy, and then the phone's happy because it is locked, and it's not he's not going in and deleting apps, calling 911 or whatever kids do on the phone. So it's this fun little parent utility that I created that I thought was just for me, but it turned out that a lot of people actually also liked it as well. And my end goal is to have a whole bunch of different activities for them to do just besides YouTube. Maybe little games, learning things, soundboards, nothing that is like super complex to make or for a kid to use that is they're going to just be drawn in for like the entire time, because screen time is bad. But just that little like playpen time for when you're a parent and you need that little
yes, I'm quite familiar with that. Do you okay, so a couple of questions. First
Yeah.
I guess first dad questions. How do you lock down what they can watch on YouTube?
So I'm actually using an iOS library. I think it's called YouTube Player or something like that. So I actually make use of that. So it's actually not through the YouTube app. Everything is through the Playpen app.
Okay.
And this YouTube Player, I think just ends up launching YouTube in a web view.
Yeah.
And then kind of
the YouTube
there's a nice
API
API built around
the
that.
YouTube Player API is totally JavaScript based. So yeah, you kind of have to do a web view right now. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it actually works out pretty well because you can do playlists, you can make it untouchable, you can go back and forth.
Nice.
So like it does do a pretty good job. There are times where like it may not it may end up like not loading properly, so you just have to restart the view or the YouTube player thing, whatever it is. So yeah, I'm not really like locking down into other apps. I wish I could, because then I could go between like HBO Go and Netflix, but I'm pretty much only locked into what I can display in my.
So basically, you set up. Do you like set up a bunch of playlists? Like, oh, this is my Bluey playlist. This is my Coco Melon playlist. Okay.
Exactly.
And then you have an interface.
Not Coco Melon, because Coco Melon drives me crazy. But
I accidentally
Miss Rachel, Sesame Street, Blippi, Dino Train.
I accidentally ran into Coco Melon last week, and I've always avoided it. And then I had like my 6-month-old was just like absolutely enthralled by it. So unfortunately, that's kind of an issue.
Yeah, it accidentally came on, and my son just like glued to the TV. Like I'm just like, nope.
Yeah,
like,
right.
We gotta ban this from my TV.
What else was I gonna say? Oh, so the developer question is, I assume you're using like watch connectivity, I guess, to like talk to the phone, or okay.
Yes, correct.
How was that experience? And how is the whole I'm curious, as somebody who's built watch apps, what's the experience with that and building the watch app overall and testing it?
It actually wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Okay.
I didn't expect to use watch connectivity. I thought I could just use like the shared preferences that were shared over like an app group, but it turns out that the watch app does not get those.
Okay.
So that was kind of heartbreaking, because that just seemed easy. Because then I could, if that worked, then I could actually make it work not just from watch to phone, but iPad to watch. A little bit easier with just one system. So. That didn't work out. So I'm using watch connectivity, which means right now it only goes
Phone
from
to the watch,
phone to the watch. And it's actually not bad, because I'm not actually sending, like, there's not a ton of back and forth, really. There's like one huge object that gets passed to the app that shows all the activities, all the options that you can choose from. And then you really just press a button on the watch. It sends like an ID over, and then the app listens for that and then just changes what's on screen. I've had very little connectivity issues between the watch and the phone, but I'm not doing like a lot of streaming back and forth.
Yeah.
I'm sure if there's a lot of streaming, a lot of like other requests that depended on other requests, like it would probably turn into a disaster. But as the way it stands right now, it's really just like when the app loads, it sends one giant payload over of all the things.
Do you use data, or do you
just tap on the watch?
Do you use send message dictionary or send message data? Oh man.
Probably I think it's probably dictionary.
Usually it's dictionary.
If that's a thing, or I make it a codable and just send over a string. I'm not really sure which one I'm doing. It's been a while since I looked at that code. Right now it just works the way it is. But there was some playing around trying to figure out like what format to do, like, and all that kind of stuff. But whatever one I chose, it seems
that's awesome.
To work out
that's awesome. So that's something you'll probably finish up after what we'll talk about next, right? I assume. Hopefully, what are you going to do though if you're not finished by June, and then you see like there's a ton of stuff you can be doing with it for iOS 17 and watchOS 10 and stuff? Are you going to like be like,
Then it's going to get released in September, and it's going to require people to use the new iOS.
Okay, so
that's what fun stuff. The good thing is I don't have any users right now, and like it is something that I made for myself. So I really don't care like what the minimum version is. If I can go back a version without losing too much, great. I get a bigger customer base. If I have to go up to the new version that's not released yet, I really don't care, because I don't have any users. So
that makes total sense.
That's the best part about being a developer, and also worst part is like I can make stuff for myself and I use it, and I'm not really looking for the big customer base at the moment.
Yeah, it makes total sense. So let's talk about pizza. We've got big.
I think you had a guided access question as well that we didn't touch.
Yeah, that's right. We did. So the other developer. Thank you. I totally forgot about it. The other.
I'll get no worries.
The other. Well, before we get into pizza, let's talk let me cover that question then. Like, yeah, what's the developer experience with guided access? Because I know, so my experience with guided access is kind of the same, where it's like when we do screen time, it's like I put on guided access and I put it on some app that they want or game that they want to use, and then I give them an iOS device. That's like my dad experience with it, but I don't know as far as development how guided access works. What does it give you? What does it tell you?
So I wish there was more. I'm hoping for some more guided access things to be available for the next iOS version.
Yeah.
But if it's not, like, I have a decent workaround and explanation for the users. So the worst part about guided access is mainly to get it using. Like, the way that most people probably use it is, like, you go to accessibility and, like, turn it on to your, like, triple tap of the home thing or
power button, whatever.
Power button to enable it for the current app. Yeah. But the best way to do it, and I also provide something for this in the app, is there's a shortcut action to start it. So what I do is I actually have a Playpen shortcut where you can choose where there's an option to choose the activity that you want to open the app up to. So it could be a YouTube playlist that you could choose, the soundboard. So you can choose one of those and hard code that into the shortcut itself, or you can have it prompt you with options. And then after that, there's a built-in shortcut action to start guided access mode, which is the easiest way to do it. So I actually have a shortcut on my home screen that I just single tap, loads Playpen, guided access mode starts, and I actually set the volume to like 30%. So it gets into this nice state of like not too loud for him, but he can hear it. The screen's locked and YouTube is up, and I just toss my phone towards him, and boom, the phone's in the perfect state. Guided access is on, it's locked, and then I can control stuff through the Apple Watch app.
That's awesome.
I would love if there was a way to, like, in the app itself to enable it. There actually is an API for enabling guided access mode programmatically, but it requires like the enterprise MDM permission.
That makes sense.
So like the technology is there, but just not for public use. So it would be nice if there was like an entitlement that you could gain for your app that
just
like,
do guided access.
Get this guided access mode.
Do you remember the drama from like a couple of years
that,
ago about MDM and like parent apps? There used to be a whole.
I did a little bit of MDM back in like 2015.
There used to be like a whole bunch of apps, parent apps, where you can like control your kid's iPhone. And I think like Apple was like, no, you can't do this. You can't use the MDM.
That's probably
yeah. So there's like that backstory, because I totally remember that. Like we had people like, oh, you should use this app for your kids so you can control their iPhone, and like that's what they all did. They all used MDM stuff to like basically do it. And Apple was like, no, you can't do that.
That seems like way over engineering though.
It is.
I had that set up. I had MDM set up for a startup once where we had iPads in bars and stuff, like, so we had to use MDM to deploy new versions, all that kind of stuff, and it was a headache. I would not like it. Makes sense on a business level. I don't want to do it on a parent level. Like I'm already short on time. I don't want to deal with MDM stuff, but I'm hoping that maybe they release this maybe as an entitlement that you could do for your app. It requests a permission to like, hey, let me control this kind of thing. So like apps just don't do it automatically. But
so I have like
that'd be cool.
I have my 6-month-old is my youngest, and then my oldest, I have a teenager now. And now we're like starting to dip our toes into figuring out, okay, like how do they do their own device? And that's when we start looking at like screen time. So I actually bought recently a family Mac. I've never had a family Mac. All my Macs have been for work.
Okay.
And like we set up an
Yeah.
Apple ID so that they can log in, and screen time on the Mac. So like I'm like starting to dip my toes into how to like restrict the phone and stuff, and restrict. Well, in this case,
I'm
restrict
not ready
the
for
Mac.
that yet. I'm not ready
Yeah,
for
I
that
know.
yet.
Oh, and it's like, yeah, we're okay, but like I don't want to get into too much on the show on a personal sidebar, but like I've been trying to avoid buying any iOS device for them for as long as possible, but now it's like we got broken Kindles and broken MP3 players, and it's like, man, if there's only a device that can do all that for them, and it's like, oh, but I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. I don't want to deal with it. It's like we got a high schooler who might text message us for rides until she can drive, and anyway. So yeah, I'm really interested in this whole space, and I feel like Apple's kind of. It'll be nice if in June they really like expand that stuff, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Crossing my fingers that that happens, and then I can punt the release of this until September, and then bump them in iOS version to whatever iOS version the next one is. I forget what number we're on, but that's
17. 17. Yeah, 17 and 10, or that's what. Yeah. Because I've been looking at rumors and stuff. So, cool. So should we
I've been
talk? Can we?
avoiding it. Yes. Next
Can we talk
topic.
about pizza? Let's talk about pizza.
Next topic. Let's go. Yes, please.
Why the heck are you doing this, Josh? You're not supposed to be doing this too. You already have a full plate. You can't have pizza on your plate too.
I like self-inflicted pain. There's just something fun about. There's just something fun about causing myself issues and then trying to solve them. So that's why I do what I do.
This is awesome. I'm super excited about Deep Dish Swift. Is it sold out? Or can people still buy tickets?
That is, people can still buy tickets. We are nearing full capacity.
So by the time we release this
so
episode, this might be sold out, unfortunately.
It might be sold out, but I need to do some counts again and get like final numbers with everything that we're putting into the room. I did not expect the number of tickets to be sold that we actually had. Like I got a space that was big enough for I think 300 people, and like classroom style seats. So like tables, chairs, like set up so you can have your computer there. I was gonna be happy with like 125 attendees. Like that was my goal. 125, great. Like we have a lot of space. Like we can split the room for like meals and conference. And no, we're at like, including speakers, we're nearing like 250 right now, and that's not including like sponsors and that kind of stuff. So like we're pretty much nearing capacity, which is amazing.
Yeah.
If this happens for a future deep dish version, I'm gonna have to maybe get a bigger space. But this is way more than what I could have asked for the first year.
Yeah, like what's been the experience getting this conference, putting it together? Like, yeah, I mean, this is great.
It's kind of like planning a wedding, for the most part. So like you get a venue, you plan food, the only main difference is
sponsors,
like speakers and sponsors for the most part. Yeah, and I did have swag at my wedding, so like I guess that's still the same. But like it was like it's pretty much in the realm of like planning a really big wedding, which me and my wife did plan like four years ago. So like it's pretty close to that. The good thing is my wife is actually helping me with this. So like she's doing a lot of like the venue vendor kind of part of it. And then I'm doing like speaker, sponsor. We've been teaming up on swag. So like it would definitely not have been possible if she wasn't helping me. I mean, it probably could have been because I would have maybe had to find somebody else. But like working with her, like in our same house, has just made this like an amazingly smooth thing to do since we started it in September.
Or the kids are helping too, I assume, right?
They're not
What?
helping. So like, no, I mean, no, they like, I have amazing kids, so like they're actually like super well behaved most of the time, thankfully. So like whenever we have to do something deep dish related, like they make it super easy to do.
Just hand them
But
Playpen.
yeah, they're not exactly. But yeah, they're not really like contributing anything major. But yeah, it's been a fun process. A little bit stressful times with like AV vendors
Oh, yeah.
and changing prices on us. So that's probably been the most stressful thing is the AV vendor. But besides that, it's gone pretty smooth. I mean, finding like picking the venue we wanted in Chicago like was actually kind of tough because like Chicago is pretty widespread.
Yeah, that's
Like,
true.
It's a pretty wide city, and like I would have loved to have it downtown Chicago, like next to the lake. But like for a first year conference,
expensive, probably.
One, the price just
Yeah.
I couldn't do it. We didn't really have any like starting budget from previous years, so it was all like we were like personally backing it when we like picked a location. But I also wanted to be easy to travel to, like from people that were flying
Yeah.
in. So I want to be closer to the airport, but like there's not like a ton of cool places to do it close to the airport because it's pretty suburban.
Okay.
But the place that we picked is actually like, it is a hotel that's close to the airport, but it is like a nicer, bigger hotel. It does have like a great place to host the conference. They have a shuttle going back and forth between the airport 24/7. And it's about 2 miles from the airport. It's close to the train station if people are taking the train, either like from the city or to the city if they want to go explore that. It's by like an intersection of 3 different freeways. So if you're coming from the north, coming from the west, coming from the south, like it's easy to get to. So the location was mainly for travel, making it easier for our attendees to like fly in and just be at the venue, and then they can travel downtown if they want because the train is right there. So it was hard because like there's so many different places, but also it's hard because we were very limited with like what we were looking for in terms of like price and location and travel ease.
What's a topic, speaker, or like what's a thing that you really want to plug about this conference that you think is like something people are going to be really interested in?
I think the indie dev specific day is kind of
Yes.
unique. I've been talking with some people for years. Like it'd be cool to have like an indie dev conference, but the hard part about an indie dev conference is like the indie dev community probably feels pretty small, and like it'd be hard to like get people just to come for like that kind of conference. But the cool thing about our community is like a lot of the iOS and Swift devs like do indie dev on the side. There might not be full-time indie devs. That's not their only thing. But they're like, it does seem to be like a pretty good lap of like indie and iOS and Swift. So when planning this conference, most conferences start off with like a workshop of some sort, like a Swift workshop or something like that. But I was like, we already have like 2 days of Swift. Like maybe we can do like an indie specific day on the front side. Like make it a little more like indie business focused, indie journey, kind of maybe like inspire more indie devs, get indies together to finally meet in one place. So I was like, we'll just do like a half day of it, like four or five talks, indie focused. And I think a lot of my initial attendees were indie devs. Like that was a thing that actually drew a lot of the initial sales because like it was kind of unique. So I think that's something that in future deep dishes, if we keep doing them, if we don't lose money on this thing, which I don't think we will, projections show like at least some small profit to go to our deep dish V2. But like, I think this indie day is probably going to stay because like it is kind of our unique.
Yeah, I mean, I remember release notes. Like that was a great indie conference in Indianapolis, Chicago. I went to those, so it's nice to see something like that back again for folks like us. Yeah, I agree. I'm really looking forward to that as somebody who's tried to be an indie dev. To try to get
Same. I think my indie dev experience is not very net positive. I probably spent more money on stuff than I've made, but I don't care because it's fun, and I think I'm going to learn from this whole process as well. So
I have a lot of GitHub repos, so I have that.
Indie day.
Like I don't,
Yes.
I don't have stuff in the App Store, but I have
Agreed.
a lot of GitHub repos. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to being there. We're going to be driving up from Michigan, me and a few of the kids, and then I don't think I announced it in the last episode, but it will be a week long conference, as I think I've told you, conference travel world tour. I want to do that. I wanted to call it the Empower Apps World Tour. So I will be attending Deep Dish Swift, and then I will be flying to Italy to speak at Swift Heroes, which I'm really looking forward to speaking at.
Congratulations, by the way. That's awesome.
Thank you. So yeah, and then of course the month after that, I am planning
Dub-dub.
to actually go to Dub Dub. So yeah, we'll see about that. So yeah, I'm excited.
Busy month.
Yeah, a month after Italy. So yeah, a lot going on. Is there anything else you want to talk about when it comes to Deep Dish Swift?
I mean, I just want to thank all of the like attendees and everybody who has like hyped the event, because like I never thought like I would host a conference. I never thought it would be. Well, I don't want to say it's successful yet because the conference actually hasn't happened yet. But at our current stage, it actually feels like it's on the path to be successful. We got an amazing set of 20 speakers coming from U.S., Canada, internationally, which is cool. We have 2 coming from England, 1 from Austria, 1 from Germany. I think. Hopefully that's all right. And then, well, I guess 3 from Canada, which I guess is international. But I mean, when I'm in Chicago, it feels like we're part of the same country-ish. But in terms of attendees, yeah, we have, I think, almost 210 tickets sold, which is insane. The last number we checked, there were people coming from 18 different countries, which is also crazy. We have people coming from Japan, India, Australia, and then a bunch in Europe.
That's amazing.
So, like, that's insane. So there's a little bit of pressure there with people coming from that far to this conference. I want to make sure that it holds up. We also have a lot of local Chicagoans coming, people that I haven't met before. So even though like they're close by, it'll be cool to actually like see them. But yeah, like then, and then just thank our sponsors. Like our sponsors have been amazing. It definitely wouldn't have been possible without sponsors. Hosting a conference in the United States is not cheap, especially in Chicago. So the sponsors are probably the ones that are really making this happen. So I'll just throw them out here quick if that's okay. Revenue Cat is the Super Supreme sponsor.
Supreme.
I didn't actually ask them to. Yeah, I didn't actually ask them to sponsor. I was just like, hey, I'm gonna throw a conference in April, May. Is that okay? Just because like work schedule stuff and like the time involved. They're like, yeah, but also can we sponsor? I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool, of course. But like that wasn't my initial goal. I just wanted like approval in my work schedule to throw a conference. But our Supreme sponsors, then we have, I'm gonna see if I can do them all off the top of my head. We have Code Magic, One Signal, Runway, Emerge, Ionic, Runway, One Signal, and Sentry. Those are our Supreme sponsors. They'll all be there to talk to at the event. We also have two topping sponsors, which would be App Figures and Stream. This is good. And then we have the single slice sponsors, which are Happy Scale, which is in Indie App, and then Michigan Labs, which is a consulting company in I think they're Detroit. Definitely Michigan, but I think Detroit. I think that's all of our sponsors. Hopefully I didn't miss any of them. I did it all off the top of my head, but like without them, event would not be possible. So super thankful that I was able to connect with them, and I'm excited for all of them to actually be there, talk to them, thank them, because without them, Deep Dish would not have happened for sure.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Before we close out, I have one more question to ask you. It's kind of an uncomfortable question.
Yeah.
We might have people who just...
I love these. Let's go.
People might unsubscribe after I ask this question. They might be very offended. Trigger warning. Trigger warning. There's rumor on the street that you are starting to like Kotlin. What's wrong with you?
Mm-hmm. No, just give backstory. I'm not like a pure Swiftie. Like,
well, obviously you do Ruby for Fastlane, so that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, my programming history, I started off with Visual Basic 5, and then doing web stuff, like basic JavaScript, HTML, CSS. I did Java. I've been doing Java since 2005. Six? That's a lot of years. Ruby since 2009, 2008, and then Objective-C, 2010, 2011, and then Swift in 2015. So Swift is actually not like my longest language, obviously.
Well, it hasn't been around. Yeah,
it is new, but I'm not a language purist. To most people's surprise, if I say this, I might get some hate. I don't actually love code.
Interesting.
I like building things. I like building things, and coding's the easiest way for me to do it. So I don't hate coding. I'm just not like, my code doesn't necessarily need to be the best, the prettiest, the most efficient way of doing things. I just want to make things and have fun.
Total sidebar,
so,
but
Swift.
But I definitely see this divide amongst developers of people. Like, you don't hate code, right? But that's not your passion. Whereas there's people who are really into building apps, and people who are into really writing code. And I totally get it. And I almost took you as probably more of the developer type, but it's interesting. I mean, it makes sense if you're into indie apps that you're more into building things.
Yeah, I wish I could get into code, helping commit to Swift and add things and improve there, but that stuff is just way out of my realm.
Also, my languages don't overlap with yours at all. I did very little Java and very little Ruby. Those are two languages I never invested time in. Whereas I've done C#, PHP, JavaScript, TypeScript.
The PHP, Yeah. I think C#'s the only, .NET's the only one I really haven't touched. I did consulting for 10 years, so pretty much everything came my way. I just didn't do .NET because didn't run on Macs for most of the time, I don't think. So yes, I guess going back to your question, is Swift and iOS and Apple is definitely the realm where I live in. I'm a user. Those are the things that I build for myself. I love the Swift iOS community, but for work we've been working on the Android version, or the next SDK of our Android version, since I've been working on it since December. We released it last week, and Kotlin is the language that we use for that. So I've been doing pretty much Kotlin at my full-time job since December. And like I've dabbled in it. I've been able to do like Java level Kotlin stuff, pretty much if statements and prints. Like that's pretty much it. But like that's kind of where I started off. But like I've gotten into doing a bunch of different things like pretty much I don't want to say advanced Kotlin, but like more Kotlin style things. And it's actually a really fun language. It definitely doesn't feel like as heavy as Java. It kind of has a little Swift feel to it a little bit, but like I feel like it goes down a different path. There's just a lot more to it than what I ever expected. And in terms of like data structures and like different like helper methods that are built into things, there's a lot of things that just are super easy to do. Naming is super weird. I had this method that I wrote. I changed some filters and some maps together.
Like functional
Let me
programming.
see if I can find this method name. Yeah, just like stuff that I would do in Swift that would make sense, like a filter and then a map, and then like there was a first in there maybe or something like that, and then Android Studio corrected me to use this method called first map null or not
Holy
null
moly.
or something. It was like the weirdest method name, but like it made my code go from like this, like people who are podcasting can't see it, but it like cut my lines of code down to like half, to like 3 lines or something like that. So it was this really cool helper function that combined a bunch of stuff. The naming is absolutely horrid, but like it's fun to write. Android Studio, after you use it for a couple months, is actually a pretty nice IDE. Like I've been happy with it. That's not saying that I'm gonna go like ditch Swift and like write Kotlin or Android apps in my free time. But like it's been a lot more enjoyable than what I thought it would be. And if somebody is looking to get into something new, experiment with something new, Kotlin I feel like is a fun thing to do. So I'm definitely not.
What
a
are
hater.
the 3 things that you wish Xcode or Swift would have that the whole Google Android ecosystem has that you're like, I wish we had that?
That's a great question. I feel so.
Or why is that hard to answer, I guess?
Android Studio, yeah. So Android Studio, when you go into it, it feels so bloated feeling with all of these tools and things like that. You have these like side panels that can pop out. But so when you first go into it, you're like, it's super intimidating and it feels gross. It doesn't have like this nice like user experience feel to it. Like Xcode is like nice and clean, but like the tools that are built into Android Studio, there are a ton there, and they're actually like super easy to use and powerful. Like the profiler is like just connects to any existing app that is up there. You can view network requests super easily. You don't have to do anything.
It sounds like they have instruments in the Android Studio.
Proxy related instrument. Yeah, instruments just feel more natural built into the emulator and IDE. So like that's a nice thing that's super easy to use. Logcat, which is I think the OS log level type of stuff. Maybe if you're coming from Swift, like that's super easy to use. Logging, filtering, seeing what's getting logged is just easy. But like the things that are more complicated is the Android emulators are just a little bit slower, laggy feeling.
Okay.
There's so many of them that you have to do, so many different Android versions of those that you have to install, like six different ones. Testing subscriptions in the emulator is also tough because there's no like store kit testing like there is in Xcode, so you have to actually like go through and have a Google account. So like there are things that definitely aren't fun, but there are things like more from like a code standpoint, like tooling, profiling, that kind of stuff that is built in that does make it a little bit easier to do than what Xcode
Okay.
offers.
Interesting. Was there anything else you wanted to mention about your Android experience?
I've been teasing a deep dish Kotlin. It's probably not going to happen. But I just kind of like trolling. But like it is a fun language. I'm just not tied into the Android community, so hosting a conference like that
It's
would
like
be
80%
totally
of
hard for
hosting
me.
a conference is having the network for it. So yeah, that would make sense. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. But no, like, yeah, I'm definitely still going back to doing Swift iOS full time after this. But Kotlin, like, is definitely fun. If you are an indie looking to go cross-platform, like, you're going to have fun. It is going to be a slow process. Like, there's a bit of a learning curve because it does feel similar enough to Swift, but it's not. So you're going to get stuck trying to do iflets and guards. Those don't exist. But like, it's definitely a fun experience that I think most people, if you are indie or just mobile dev, give it a shot. It's fun.
Anything else you want to talk about before we close out?
I don't think so.
This was awesome. I'm really glad to have you on.
I think I tapped
I
everything.
I think so.
Yeah, this is fun.
Josh, where can people find you online?
So Twitter at Josh D. Holtz, Mastodon at Josh D. Holtz at mastodon.social, GitHub also at Josh D. Holtz if you want to see my GitHub commit history of stuff. Then there's joshholtz.com. That one doesn't have the D, so that's weird. That's the only place that's different.
Indie Dev Monday.
But, I mean, Twitter, Mastodon, that's mainly where you can find me. Indie Dev Monday.
We'll have all the links in the show notes.
Which I've been meaning to throw an issue. Yes. Indie Dev Monday is going through a small hiatus as well. I need to actually post that, but I'm just waiting through, like, Deep Dish is over. I have some traveling I'm doing after that, so it'll probably pick back up in summer. But yeah, that's where you can find me. I'm not too hard to find.
Awesome. Josh, I will see you in less than a month. Yeah, that's
days.
right.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much for coming on. This is great.
Thank you.
People can find me on Twitter at LeoGDion. My Mastodon is at leogdion@c.im. If you're watching this on YouTube, please like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. If you're listening to this on a podcast player, please take some time to give me a review. If there's something you want to talk about, or if there's something you want to hear about, let me know. Please DM me or on whatever platform you prefer. That's it for me. I hope everybody has a good week, and we'll talk to you in 2 weeks. Bye, everyone.